everyone, good morning. I hope you're having a fabulous start to your Sunday. And yesterday ended up being super busy. We were out and about all day and I just didn't get a chance to pop in. I'm so sorry. Yes, but I'm back today and I gotta tell you, maybe it's a karma or something, I don't know. But I woke up this morning and, well, actually all last night I couldn't sleep. I've got some stuff going on with my back for a long time now, and it was just really irritated last night, and this morning I woke up and I could kind of barely move. So instead of doing exercises today, I'm going to show you what I did to help me kind of get out of that crazy, painful, stiff setting that state that I was in this morning. It was like lots of pressure through the pelvis and sacrum and belly, and everything was and low back, and that was just super duper painful. So these are a couple of key things that I do when that happens. Especially like single-sided stuff is really tough. So I don't know if you're having any back issues or if you feel the same, but anytime kind of that instability with being on one foot, especially bending over, like trying to wash my face in the sink was like, everything was out of the question this morning. So here's a couple of things. It is good to have a foam roller. So this is not going to fix the problem, but it definitely helped me kind of relieve some tension just from having that sore back all night. All of my muscles were just tense. I just couldn't get, like, standing, sitting, laying, it doesn't matter, didn't matter. It was all so much pressure and so much pain. So it's not gonna fix it, but it definitely got me out of that state, that acute kind of pain and immobility state, and now I'm back moving around and I feel great and I feel normal again. Okay, so here we go. If you have a foam roller, that is awesome. If you don't and you have any back or muscular issues, you should really get a foam roller anyways. Again, foam rolling isn't like a fix for everything, but it definitely helps in a lot of situations. So one thing is that I could not do was a cat camel or cat cow. Okay, so I know I'm wearing a black shirt today, sorry about that. Let me tuck in the shirt here. You're gonna have to take a look. I did the cat camel, and so even getting into the cat camel position was a challenge, but you still wanna make sure that your wrists are under the shoulders, your knees are under the hips, okay, not too far back. As soon as I went too far back, even there, I couldn't do it. So coming in, pulling the belly button in towards the spine. I started with extension, so pulling the belly towards the ground. Really, I could only get a few inches into this one, but it really helped. You kind of gotta listen to your body, don't force anything, and just that slow, progressive, just stay with it for a few minutes. Okay, so I went for about 4 to 5 minutes back and forth doing these. Okay, so pulling the chest forward, pulling the belly button towards the ground, and big deep belly breaths. All right, do a few here, and I held it for about 15 seconds or so, and then I came back to neutral position. Then before I did anything here, pulled the belly button into the spine, and to be honest, this morning I could not actually do this position, the cat position. I couldn't do it. So what I had to do was focus on releasing some tension through the upper back and traps by just tucking my head under, and press the ground away with your hands, so creating space, trying to find some movement through the thoracic and upper spine to start with, just working the mobility slowly down. So tucking the chin in. Okay, if you can tuck the tailbone under, pull the belly button in and around through the spine. Okay, and pulling down again. So you're gonna really kind of go back and forth really slowly. And there we go. So from here, really, we're gonna go into a pigeon pose. So sometimes it's hard to get into, but from here, here. So this was a little bit of a challenge. I actually went into this after the foam rolling, but if you're not in an acute setting, this will be a good transition for you, okay? So we're getting a little bit of stretch in from this position here, from the front, okay? this left ankle is going to be under my right hip bone, or roughly around that area, or higher, or more forward, I should say. The knee is bent. I'm trying to keep those hips level, okay, and squared. So I do like this morning, what really, really helped is actually getting into a little of the abdominals, hip flexors, and hip muscle, and the muscles around the hip. So what I did here is this one gets into the glutes, also very important. So getting into the glutes a little bit through the hamstrings and inner thighs here on this one. And for this, your hip flexors. But most importantly, what I do is I love to find a little bit of movement here. So I tend to go with what feels right and good for my body. So what you can do is you can roll the hip over. So I actually rolled that hip over slightly. Sorry, a little drama. And I increased that stretch through the hip flexor and into that psoas. So really kind of pulling. It's a slight twist, but I managed to do that this morning. Okay? And really just breathing. I was so tense and so tight. I had to kind of be in this weird stiff position. So that, when you're finished, okay, you're going to come back up into that tabletop position. This is a nice, easy, simple transition that you can do. Okay, and then here, taking the other leg back. Okay, getting into those hip flexors. On this side, I actually found that my hip flexor and psoas was a little looser, but my glutes and hips on this side were quite a bit stiffer than the other side. So you're just focusing in on where the tension is. That's really, really important. Okay, taking those nice deep breaths, staying in it as long as you need to, really, to feel. Just to feel that release. Make sure that you're not holding stretches for too long. Okay, so especially right before or right after exercise. These are not the times to hold static stretches for long periods of time. So if you're doing it before or after your workout, so pre or post workout, right after or right before, then 15 seconds maximum you're going to be holding each stretch for. If you're doing it, say like I was this morning, I can stay in that position, stay in that stretch, kind of coming in and out of it as I feel through those stretches, and switching sides for 4 to 5 minutes per position. Okay, so then I'm going to get the foam roller out. I'll show you the last one that I really focused on, and that was the TFL here. This little muscle, okay, if you go to the top of the crest of your hip bone and just kind of right over the edge towards the outside edge, your TFL kind of sits in this little area and attaches into or combines into the IT band. So what you want to do is you're going to focus in on there. Often the TFL can be a bit of a culprit in low back pain. And then the muscles around the hip, a little bit into the glutes. I tried to do my back, actually foam roll my back, but I couldn't. It was the most awkward looking thing you've ever seen, and it hurt quite a bit. So I couldn't actually get into the position to do that properly. So here, I'm just going to show you. I was able to sit sideways here, okay, and really work into and around the hip area. So I just found the areas that were really tight, kind of play with it a little bit. I seem to manage to do this position okay, especially supporting with my upper body there. And I just found the really tight spots, kind of rotating over. I couldn't go too far this way without any pain. So I just focused in right around the hip bone. So you don't want to go over top of the hip bone, but it feels really nice to kind of go from the top of your pelvis down towards that trochanter, so the bone that sticks out on the side of your hip here, kind of the widest part, that's the top of your femur, and that's where the ball and socket joint come from. So that's where the hip and the pelvis, or the femur and the pelvis meet. So you want to kind of focus in on those muscles that are attaching those, sort of release that tension in there. Okay, and I threw in a little side bend, side stretch here to, just work it around whatever feels good for you. So as foam rolling, there is science to it, of course, and you can get really specific, but if you're dealing with any issues, then really it's just getting in there, finding those areas of tension, and just kind of hanging out is sort of hanging out there, rolling around nice and slowly, and you'll start to feel a little bit more of a release. Okay, you can play around with it. Okay, if you want, okay, just play around with the angles, rolling onto, see, I can do that now, but I couldn't this morning. Okay, so rolling onto your thighs, you can kind of go all the way around. So really sticking in and around your hips, okay, that pelvis and attachment over. All right. Okay, and then I'm sorry, I did do one last one to get into the QL to stretch a little bit more. This one was a little bit sensitive. I just had to listen to the body and not overstretch. So you're taking your knees out to 90 degrees and 90 degrees, okay? Trying to keep both sit bones on the ground. At one point this morning, this was all I could manage, was to try to get that stretch into the hip and keep the sit bones on the ground, okay? The other one is, what you can do is you can rotate your torso, if that feels okay for you, over to that outside leg. And you want to think your torso and the thigh, the inner thigh, are in line. So just put your hands out here. You're just going to forward lean slightly to where it feels comfortable. This one's again going to get into the hips and glutes. Okay, so you're going to try and leave that hip bone there. Try and feel that stretch into the glutes. Awesome. Then you're going to take one more rotation over. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not reaching because that would hurt my back. So I'm just going to where I feel comfortable. These hands are supporting. I managed to kind of come down here. And you're going to kind of bend forward. Now this one is the magic. This one gets into your TFL, which is also often a culprit in low back pain, weakness, typically weakness. All right, so you're just kind of releasing those muscles a little bit here, taking big breaths, coming back up. All right, and then you're going to rotate or windmill those knees on over, rotate those knees on over to the other side. Again, you'll notice maybe some sides, each side is a little bit different, and that's okay. All right, so then this is the 90-90 stretch again. Again, this hip is a little bit more stiff. It's harder for me to keep that sit bone on the ground. That's okay. I'm just going to sit with it for a little bit, see if I can breathe in to that area of tension and find a little bit of release before I go and do this hip and glute stretch, okay? So really being mindful of your back, mindful of your body, on learning to kind of make that mind-body connection so that you can feel those areas of tension and not being scared of those areas of tension, right? They can be a little bit, you're like, oh, that's really tight. Like if somebody was giving you a deep massage, all right? It shouldn't be painful. Like if it's causing pain in your back or causing definite pain in your hips or anything, then you shouldn't be doing that movement. You gotta listen to your body and develop that sense. So a little bit of tension, like someone's giving you a soft or a deep tissue massage or a massage and pushing in on the muscle and causing a little bit of soreness there, that's pretty normal and that's okay. Sometimes if you're not used to that feeling, it can be a little bit scary or it feels like it shouldn't be that uncomfortable, and you want to, your instinct is that human instinct is to stay comfortable, but we have to fight that human instinct if you want to make those changes. Same with when you're exercising. If something's feeling uncomfortable and you're feeling uncomfortable, like it's hard, you want to sit with that feeling of discomfort and be okay with that and kind of work in that space, because that's when you're going to see those transformations and those gains. All right, so again, making it kind of a mindful sort of flowy practice, getting into different parts of the body. I hope this gives you a bit of an opportunity and a place to start if you do deal with low back pain on a regular basis. I do, and for sure you gotta stretch, and I should have done some stretching last night when we got home. We had a busy day yesterday, walking around all day. Definitely felt it in my back when I went to bed, so I should have listened to my body, and I should have done some stretching and some mobility type work last night. So just as a final closing, stretching and mobility are different. Mobility is a little bit more all-encompassing. Okay, I just got into some stretches and a little bit of foam rolling here, but that's not the whole picture. So if you are dealing with kind of chronic back issues or chronic issues, you want to go see somebody, a physio, massage therapist, chiropractor, maybe all three would be ideal actually, to help you find some exercises that are going to strengthen the right muscles, lengthen the right muscle groups, activate, and all of that good stuff. For you need that to actually recover and get better, okay? Some issues like mine, you get bulge discs. You know, it's not off. It's sometimes you can't really fix that problem, but you can make living with it a whole lot better. So you can keep your mobility and activity levels high and still live with those issues. Okay. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you need anything, please reach out. Happy to help. And yeah, thanks. And if you have any stories to share of exercises that work for you with your injuries or anything like that, something that's made a big difference, let me know. As you can see, I'm moving around. I feel great. So these ones really worked for me this morning. I really could barely walk this morning. So yeah, have a great day, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow for Monday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.